The One Spirit, One Vision campaign is Texas A&M's most ambitious fundraising effort ever. The success of the campaign will rely heavily on the leadership of volunteers. Here you will see a dramatic reenactment of how a campaign volunteer can effectively solicit a gift from a prospective donor. Here we see Library Development Officer John Parker, the Director of the Library, Dr. Florence Stevens, and the Chairman of their Major Gifts Committee, Buck Gibson, discussing the solicitation strategy to use in their visit with Fred and Betty Wayne, prospective donors.
Thanks for finding the time to visit before our solicitation of the Waynes. I think it's important for us to develop our strategy so that we can make an effective call. While we have a few minutes before going over to see Fred and Betty, I'd like to discuss the research material, the written proposal, and discuss each of our roles during the visit.
John, I think this is a good idea that we meet and make sure that we're all in agreement on how this should proceed.
I have copies of the research summaries with me. I've shared these with you before, but let's take a moment to highlight some of the important facts in the summary.
You know, Fred and Betty have been loyal supporters of the library for many years.
I think that's important. I was reminded from the report that they had 2 children graduate from Texas A&M.
Did you notice that Fred and Betty have also given to the Corps of Cadets?
Yes, I did notice that. Their primary interest is in the library. I know that they made a major contribution to the capital fund drive for the Houston Library.
Well, since its inception, Fred has been on our development council, and he said to me more than once that he intends to do something significant for us sometime in the future. I think this is a good time to go and ask.
I do too.
I had no problem in getting the appointment with Fred and Betty. Of course, I've known them so long, I didn't expect a problem.
Well, that's good. Betty's going to join us then. Excellent. Our information tells us she's critical to this situation. Well, before we get to the proposal, is there any other important background information we need to discuss? Fine, then let's move on to the proposal. If you remember, our plan calls for the delivery of a written proposal to all of our prospects.
Yes. You know, I'm really glad that we're giving everyone a written proposal. Something that's obvious from the solicitations we've made already is that these proposals are reviewed. They're vital to the decision-making process.
John, show Buck the final version of the proposal. You'll see that we've incorporated your comments, and I think it really strengthened the proposal.
I really feel good about asking them for $1 million, because not only is that within their capability based on our research and ratings by other people who know them, but there's a demonstrated need for this gift at A&M. And I like the idea of asking them to endow the special collections area of the library.
Yes, and that will give us an opportunity to recognize their gift by naming the special collections area the Fred and Betty Wayne Special Collection. And perhaps we can display their portraits in a nice plaque at the entrance.
I think they'll like that. I think that being able to recognize gifts in the appropriate fashion is important to the campaign.
I know they've never given a gift like this at A&M, but have they ever given a gift this large anywhere else?
No, this will be the largest gift they've ever made. But that's exactly what this campaign is all about. Let's review our strategy and discuss our specific roles for when we actually get there. Shall we?
Well, now, I'm still planning on taking the lead, since I was the one who made the appointment.
Good. I think after the introductions, Florence should discuss the state of the library, if you will, and the library's needs.
Fine.
Then, I think it would be effective if you, Buck, would talk about the campaign and your commitment and why you made it.
What time is it?
Oh.
Our appointment's at 2.
We need to get going, because we don't want to be late.
It's a good idea.
All right?
Some points to remember when planning the solicitation are: know all you can about your prospective donor. Consult your development officer. Determine your strategy. Study the campaign proposal. Anticipate questions. And arrange a personal appointment. We now rejoin the solicitation team as they meet with Fred and Betty Wayne to seek their support for the library in the campaign. After several minutes of general conversation, the volunteer shifts the conversation to the actual solicitation.
We're here today to visit with you about the library and the Texas A&M University campaign. Its primary focus will be to strengthen Texas A&M's endowment. Now, these endowments will help ensure quality programs will exist at A&M when that grandbaby you just had becomes an Aggie.
Well, Buck, I hadn't thought about it like that. You better believe I want my grandbaby to wear a Maggie ring someday. Well, Dr. Stevens, how are things on campus and in your neck of the woods, the library?
Well, Fred, as you well know from being on the Development Council, the library is the heart of the university, now even more than ever before. Because A&M is ranked in the top 10 nationally in research, the library's resources must be maintained and expanded. With the staggering amount of additional knowledge and information that's created every day, our challenge is to increase our collections to make this knowledge available to our faculty and students.
Fred and Betty, this is a good example of how we're trying to strengthen the university through the Texas A&M University campaign. Each major component of the university will be seeking monies for priority programs in their respective areas. The campaign will do more than just raise money. It'll give us the opportunity to involve many of our 160,000 former students and to heighten the awareness of Texas A&M both nationally and internationally. You know, we're one of the few institutions in the nation that has been designated by the government as a land-grant, sea grant, and space grant university. When I visit the campus, I'm always amazed to learn something new about the many teaching and research activities that go on at A&M.
Our students and faculty are among the best in the nation, and this campaign is designed to enhance our position. We believe that A&M's success in this effort and subsequent campaigns really hinges and rides on individuals responding in this campaign as never before.
This is an ambitious effort, but A&M is an ambitious university.
What we're trying to do in this campaign is to double the existing level of private support to Texas A&M.
You know, we've supported A&M for many years, but I've often wondered why A&M as a public university so actively seeks additional private support. Why can't the state fund more of these programs?
Well, Betty, that's a very good question. It is clear that pressures on existing and future state budgets are not going to allow us to depend on increased support from the state. We'll be doing well just to keep what we have. Currently, less than half our funding is provided by the general revenues of the state, which most people are surprised to learn. This makes us a state-assisted university rather than a state-supported university. And remember, the funds that we're seeking are primarily for endowments which undergird our academic programs.
Another point I want to make is that we are in a competitive market for students and faculty. These endowments will help us to retain and attract the nation's finest.
For A&M to maintain its excellence, there's just absolutely no question in my mind that the state cannot do it by itself. A&M has got to have private support. In my opinion, more private support as time goes on relative to the past.
Well, how are you doing so far?
Many people are making the most significant contribution they have ever made in their lives. During the campaign, all gifts to the university will be counted toward our ultimate goal. We're seeking 5-year pledge commitments, but gifts of real property and deferred gifts also count. We're now in the process of talking with former students and friends seeking leadership gifts to the campaign. All in all, we're very pleased with our progress.
You know, ever since I was in the Corps, A&M has meant a lot in my life. I not only received a good education, but I feel that it also taught me a couple of very important lessons that made a big difference in my life. Mainly how to assume responsibilities and the importance of getting the job done. What I've received from A&M is just more than I can ever repay. So when I was approached to get involved in this campaign, I didn't hesitate. When I began thinking about my personal gift to the campaign, I knew it would be important to make a significant gift. I've been blessed with more than my share of good fortune in business. I evaluated my resources, and I decided I could make a gift of $1 million to the library in the campaign. Now, once I made this decision, I really felt good about it, and I discovered with the advice of my accountant that there were many ways I could utilize existing tax laws to my benefit. As a result, I decided to make a pledge over 5 years, and that I would use some appreciated stock that I had in my portfolio to fund the gift. Fred and Betty, I just wanted to share with you both what it is I've done so that you could have that in your thinking as you consider what it is we want to talk about today.
Let me say once again how much we appreciate your leadership in this campaign.
Buck, that really is a generous gift.
Well, Fred, as a member of the library's Development Council, I know that you're aware of the library's needs. I also know that you and Betty have a deep sense of loyalty to A&M. What we would like you to consider is a leadership gift to the library. The proposal that we have specially prepared for you asks for $1 million to endow the special collections area of the library. In honor of your gift, we would ask the Board of Regents to name the special collections area the Fred and Betty Wayne Special Collections. We would also have an appropriate recognition event associated with your commitment.
Wow, we've never made a gift that large.
It is substantial, but I hope you'll both consider it. We would be honored at A&M to have your family name associated with such a distinguished area of our library.
We hope you'll give this serious consideration, and please be assured that we're available to discuss with you the many gift options that exist.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about. I don't know whether or not we can give the amount that you asked, though.
Well, we understand that. You'll have to review the proposal. It's the kind of investment that does take careful consideration and thought on your part.
All we ask is that you give it careful thought, and I know you will. I'll be in touch in a couple of weeks to see just where you are with your thinking. In the meantime, if there are any questions that you have for any of us, or if there's any expertise at the university we can help you with, please let us know.
Well, thank you. I'm pleased to hear that you've got that kind of expertise in-house. Just give Betty and I enough time to talk this over and be in touch with our tax account about the possibility. So a couple of weeks will give us enough time to do that. Buck, let me assure you, though, that Betty and I will make you a gift of some kind.
Fred, Betty, thanks so much for meeting with us. Now, if there are any questions, don't hesitate to call any of us.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, as it always is, to see both of you again. I look forward to working with you on this and on other things as well.
Some points to remember when making the solicitation are: state A&M's need for private support, mention your own commitment, ask for a specific amount and purpose, propose an outright gift, then offer alternatives if needed, and schedule a follow-up.
Hi, Florence. Yes, Fred just called. Good news. He and Betty have decided to give $500,000 now toward the library's campaign. Oh, yes. Isn't that great? Yes, they really did it, and they really gave it some thought. And they've come up with a great gift. I think they're probably going to give $100,000 a year for 5 years. Now, they're also in the process of sitting down with their attorney to do some serious estate planning. And during that process, they'll consider doing the other $500,000 through their estate. Oh, and since their kids also graduated from A&M, they would like any recognition to be made in the family's name. Now, I told them that someone from the university would be in touch with them to work out the details. You'll have John take care of sending them a gift agreement, okay? Well, I look forward to working with you again. We're a good team, don't you think? Okay, Florence. Thank you. Goodbye.
Some points to remember when conducting the follow-up are: confirm the commitment in writing, send an acknowledgement letter, and report the results to your development officer. We hope that this reenactment of a gift solicitation has been helpful. Campaign and university staff members are eager to work with volunteers in coordinating productive visits. Together, we can make the One Spirit, One Vision campaign the most successful campaign in the history of Texas A&M.